side.
That's our buddy Patrick. He'll be recording. So you guys want to sit right here? Yeah. We hit the ground running. Literally landed yesterday at 6 a.m. local time.
Where you get from?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Ah,
yeah.
nice.
I have a bunch of music. Yeah.
In a former life, I used to own a restaurant called
I saw
Louisiana.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A lot of bourbon.
Yeah, absolutely. That's crazy. So we landed, and then so I dropped into the next place. I was like, hey, I'm in Amsterdam. Would love to, I would love to get plugged in. And like Maggie was great, jumped on it, introduced me to Greg. And then, I was at the meetup last night, and now we're meeting. So it's just, the power of being able to get to know people halfway across the world is pretty insane.
Yeah.
And so what do you do?
I've got my hand.
Yeah, I can tell based on your LinkedIn. Yeah.
In a lot of so there's this AI community, Gen AI community. There's so many people now, and that are like interested in it. Besides like the hardcore MLOps engineers like 3-4 years ago,
right?
Which is, I think, a very interesting topic to chat about as well.
Yeah.
I speak a lot to my community members, also have my journey
check it out
and stuff. And there's this whole sort of like paradigm shift of the type of people the companies are looking for, right? So you often see now, all right, we want to do something with Gen AI, right? We need to have that, right?
Yeah.
And I put this vacancy up, like looking for MLOps engineer, NLP expert, LLM. So layer on layer on layer.
Correct. Yeah. It's just words.
Yeah.
It's acronyms.
Yeah, because the whole difference, like one of the fundamental differences is why I also start with AI builders and stuff, is now as a creative person, technical creative person, you can iterate so quickly, because formerly as an ML person you have to grab the data, build a model, and then have a product, and then you're able to test it.
Sure.
But now the models are already there, right? You can just plug into the API, start playing around, but you immediately have a product. Maybe a very thin wrapper, but you can start gathering data, trying out things. So the whole development cycle is kind of reversed. And it makes it so. It's great to have solid ML skills, but it's not strictly necessary for everyone on the Gen AI team to have that sort of technical background.
So you can be based on what you're saying, you can be like a non-technical, like you can be technical, but like a not super nerdy technical, and still be in the AI kind of.
Yeah, I mean it's the technical writers type. They think in pseudocode, make these complex diagrams, graphs, that sort of thing. If you can do that, you can build an application.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, that's cool. And so you're facilitating conversations in the community. You have your own meetup.
Yeah. We have a monthly meetup in Amsterdam and one in Berlin from AI Builders.
Okay.
And AI Builders is like a non-profit community, so we're free to do all sorts of things. And as I kind of use it as a jump start to get stage, and doing so I have a background in social sciences, sociology.
Yeah.
Did a lot personal interest, studied evolutionary biology, pure interest.
Right.
But also had hospitality businesses, dark kitchens, startups.
Yeah.
I'm 41, man.
You're 41. You look great, man.
I had some time to experiment. And now I'm connecting those things, when I'm speaking, for example.
Sure.
Trying to connect the technical knowledge I have as a developer and where is this kind of stuff going? Because that's the question everybody is asking. Where are we going? What's happening? And it's great to put my 2 cents in to try to connect it into a broader societal perspective. How do people respond to new technology? How do we handle the UI UX side of things?
Sure.
Because Gen AI, funny thing, is basically an interface.
Right.
Chat, voice are interfaces, but it's also the power of the technology behind it. It's I think one thing that we kind of what I've seen loads of startups in the last 2 years had a great product, but the interface sucks. Normal people, non-nerds, do not like to chat to a bot in
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah. So I think there's that's an interesting development. Where is it going? And I think there's the kind of jobs that I'm doing as a freelancer consultant is now often that people trying to tackle complex things, saying like doing this thing, helping develop a AI search engineer, which is supposed to be an assistant to very skilled engineers that maintain very complex machinery, and then to have it fetch the right information at the right time, understand maybe multi-hop reasoning and that sort of thing. And it all sounds so nice, and within no time you have a POC.
Right.
But we have seen a lot of them.
100%.
And that's not where it ends. They're you really need to dive deep in the.
So what I'm trying to and this is interesting because we're having this conversation at Torque right now about staffing up and helping AI teams and whatnot. And it's I was recruiting ML engineers back at the company I worked for a few years ago. It's it's been around. But I feel like this LLM thing is this kind of this whole new wave, and it's can anybody do LLMs? Is it just some back-end engineer who gets bored and wants to pick up a new skill? Is that what a lot of companies are wanting that you're seeing, right? I mean, obviously you are just one sliver of the pie, but what you're seeing, are you seeing more companies want all these NLP, computer vision, but really at the end of the day, all they need is somebody that does LLMs?
I think a lot of companies don't really understand.
I would agree with that. Yes, 100%.
But I think one way to look at it is, right, so we have binary code, right? Ones and zeros. It's essentially a language where we need to manipulate the digital world. But it's not a language that we speak. It's impossible to understand for a human being on scale, right? So we have abstractions that are, wrappers around underlying complexity.
Right.
And that's programming languages. And all different kinds of programming languages doing slightly different things, but basically all manipulating the digital world.
Sure.
Now, you need a lot of expertise to work with those tools. These are craftsmen. These developers are craftsmen to work with these tools, right? Or to make models, or in ML engineering. And now we have this new layer of abstraction, language, around these, already existing sort of core around binary code. It doesn't make it redundant, but it is opening development. It's opening accessing those tools that you before had to be very vertically wrapped in. And now it's
more accessible now.
It's more accessible, and of course, at a price of something, right? With any form of abstraction, there's also information loss, right?
Yeah.
Physics, yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
But I think that companies want to build products, want to develop services, want to help customers with their problems.
Right.
And programming languages are a means to an end. So now we have another means to an end.
Correct.
Where exactly, you don't have to see it, pun intended, binary, right? It's not one or the other.
Right.
But we've seen interesting development on where it takes less of handling those old tools to actually make something that can at least be tried or works.
But can anybody pick up an LLM? There are the skills. I guess that's why it's can you throw a senior engineer into an LLM situation problem thingy and they figure it out? Or do you have to have somebody with a certain type of pedigree that can come in and hit the ground running? Because that's what I've been trying to wrap my brain around, right? It's how do we, as Torque, how do we go out and find those people? Because they're not all going to have the exact same skill set right now.
So when development of anything becomes easier, then there's more room for the creativity.
Sure.
To be able to see, all right, if the fact that we can make it is a given, well, what are we going to make, right? And people deep in their verticals are often also that expertise also comes at a price. If you maybe have a more T-shaped or more a general knowledge, then you're able to connect seemingly different concepts, into products or ideas, etc. And I think that skill will be more important because basically
the T-shaped skill is more important.
Yeah. Basically everyone is still saying all right, we have this great technology,
right?
But what are we really going to do?
Right.
Yeah, it's not entirely clear yet. So for that, these are we're breaking open new paradigms. And surely, if you have an ML engineer that learns to, it's not rocket science to work with an LLM, but maybe you need to have, some maybe formally profile of like more like a product manager type or the more creative people. Let them work together because working with LLMs or foundation models is definitely not only prompt engineering.
Right.
I mean, language is an important factor, but it's only one.
So basically, you're kind of affirming the fact that it's kind of just a shit show right now. And that like it's kind of wide open and really no one knows people know what to do, but also people in their way from a company perspective. Trying to find that talent is a very nuanced situation right now.
Yeah, but the cliches are here true as well. People expect way too much from technology in the short run, and they underestimate the impact in the long run. I mean, if you think that everything will be different, or like that's not how human organizations work. But we have such, we're evolved to always look for the shortcut. Maximum result, minimum effort, and so indeed, of course, with every new technology, with every new paradigm, there's these inflated expectations, and definitely in this cycle. But it doesn't mean that. I strongly believe it's going to deliver in ways that.
100%. Yeah. So, like, I guess if you were to talk to somebody who wants to get into this consulting, do consulting, like, what would make a good skill to have to consult within the Gen AI space? Is it? Like I said, I feel like an LLM can be very specific to a company problem or an industry problem. So, like, what are people? Because you do consulting, so like, what do companies look for? What seems to work for you?
Well, there's a lot of different ways, of course. Like there's of course the word is out. So a lot of companies come to consultants saying like, I want to do something with Gen AI. I want to have a RAG system, or I want to have a chatbot, or think if they know about it, but is it really what they want?
Right. So do you have to sit there and be like, is this really what you want?
Yeah. I mean, like you have to understand what is actually going to deliver value. And there's a lot of things that are nice to have.
Sure.
But they're not.
It's just like building software. It's just like normal software.
Yeah. But I mean, like automating automating existing things. That's always in dangerous territory.
Yeah.
Sort of like not to have. But to open up like entirely new things that weren't possible before, I think that is of course more exciting.
Yeah.
Now, to understand this kind of technology, you have to use anthropomorphistic analogies. But a disclaimer: I don't. I'm not on the side that AI has any form of conscience or to be protected, whatever. But to understand it does help. Like the thinking fast, thinking slow. And there are certain problems, like, for example, here we have an LLM-powered player, and it's very much in the works, but it's just a kind of funny idea because LLMs are good at reasoning with language, right? If you want to do this like optimally, you use like a Monte Carlo tree search algorithm or whatever. Like there's really good algorithms that can calculate crazy amount of options. If you like an LLM is not, it's a different way. So let's compare it like to a chess master. He thinks, but he also has this sort of like unconscious pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is the algorithmic way, but like the thing at in this case with 3 players, you're not playing one player. You have to also consider doing this kind of political kind of games like team up and then withdraw.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, what if I can use like a combination of algorithmics and like the LLM on top that reasons about like the political kind of play.
Sure.
And then use that as a sort of like a benchmark way to test the reasoning capability.
Yeah.
Now, it's still shit, by the way. It's gonna lose. I guess random, but that's not the point. I made it last night. But like the analogy here is like, what if you're matching people, right? Which you guys do.
Yeah.
Like there's these insane amount of options. Like if you have 100 people and one side, like 100 workers and 50 companies, there's an insane amount of possible combinations, right?
Sure.
And if you only have a limited time, a meetup or a network event, that doesn't work. So you have to sort of like cut through the weeds.
Right.
You can do that algorithmically, it has been done, you guys have been doing it, sure, it doesn't work. But what if you can do, so build a little PLC on this, if you have some ideas, some sets, and then have all these attendees based on all the data in their LinkedIn's, etc., have them represented as an AI agent. And so each attendee is an agent. And then they all get thrown in this virtual arena, a network environment, and they start like chasing their goals within some game rules constraints, trying to find national delirium, which is like the maximum interdependent reward. So that when anyone moves is going to be less, that sort of thing. That's
interesting.
Considering building the community, because what you see is that companies say like, I have this problem. You have all these people, they're not mine, it's just,
Sure, the community you built.
But what if we can sort of find a way to, match people to their clients in this algorithmic, plus LLM kind of way.
There you go, that's cool. That's cool.
It was 2023, October 2023, and we had this event. So LangChain was coming up. A guy on YouTube that I really rate high, and he's getting pretty well known in the community, in the industry. Greg Cameron. Bob van Luijt is our own tech boy in the Netherlands. He's the CEO of Weaviate. So I thought, let's organize an event. And just go out on LinkedIn. And before I know it, I knew it. It was like Harrison Chase was calling in from LangChain, the CEO. Bob van Luijt was calling in. Greg Cameron came to co-host the event with me. And I just used LinkedIn with a filter. If you were mentioning LangChain on your LinkedIn page and living in the greater Amsterdam area, you're going to pop up, right? Now that is a hardcore filter. Like if you knew LangChain in October 2023,
I was like, cool.
So then I just reached out. Don't do that with AI. Don't reach out on LinkedIn with AI. I fucking hate it.
It's awful.
You can make your list AI based,
but
reach out like this, right? And then
I literally just made a post about that recently.
Response rate of like 90% back to the max. Since then we just trying to get like cool people that are, for example, a really great guy, Jason Liu from the Structure Library open source project. Then we just have him call in, or when the people closer by, we just come drop by, and it's been really great, man. Like there's so many cool.
It looks like you had a pretty good crew. I mean, the pictures I saw, like it looks like you have a pretty good people.
I could say that there's like in the whole meetup community, there's people have their motivation and incentives to join, right? So there's a technical part. There's definitely also, I think, in the meetup community, there's like experts, young people that move to another city and want to like-minded people in that sense. So in the future, I think there's much more room for sort of like new verticals within these meetups, because now I really want to have it like technical, right? But then there is business owners that want to join as well. And
it was kind of like last night with XPlay. It wasn't super hardcore nerdy. It was more like, how are you guys automating your day-to-day?
But I think we should have like separate meetups for that, because
that's interesting.
I remember being in school, bored to fucking death, because it's a law of averages. If you're quick with some things, then you're always gonna fish behind the net. That's really
fish behind the net.
Yeah, that's what we say in Dutch. But anyway,
I mean, it's fine. I'm following. I'm following.
And we with AI Builders Club really want to cater to the very technical crowd that is into Gen AI.
That makes sense.
So we're not like talking about like prompt engineering all day. It will be about like DSPy, about reinforcement learning,
deep stuff.
GRPO, new critique.
I have no idea what you're saying. But I think it's an interesting way to kind of think about meetups too, because it's like overgeneralize it. And I feel like the more niche you can get, the better. Because I think people right now are like, if I'm gonna show up, I want to know that we're doing this. This is exactly for me. I feel like a lot of communities suffer when it's like, hey, we're just going to talk about .NET.
I think it's like, if Gen AI really shows us one thing, it is, so there is these like, sort of like long going cycles or like trends towards individualization, like personalization of society, right? Like after the around Second World War, you had this like Max Weber thinking of like seeing how people being less religious and the rise of capitalism.
Right.
The entity of the person became more important, right? And you see that going on. There's more products, there's more choice than ever. Everything can be highly personalized, right? Like algorithms in the last 20 years have been optimizing for that as well. So, and Gen AI is because it's able to communicate with people and it's so versatile. It's like a tool that can do. We didn't even see like this scratch the surface yet of what it can do. So, I know a lot of people use Gen AI for structured data extraction, data conversion, like very much sort of like under the hood processes that may be partially algorithmic, partially like some learning models, and then the ends that's getting too messy or whatever you with Gen AI. But there's also, of course, the creative community, and of course, it's if you learn to draw, and that is your skill. Now you can probably also make it, the product with AI.
Sure.
But there is like so you buy art not because the materialistic compact, but because of the story of the maker, right? The human maker, and that's something that AI does not have, right? It doesn't have this personality, so it can still be a tool in the hands of people.